We're going to start by introducing ourselves. My name is Laura Wallis, and somehow I ended up being a professional civil engineer who is embedded in mental health design, because crazy. But I have two kiddos who one has very significant needs, and the other one is just kind of figuring out their needs. But I have been blessed to be part of system implementation and design in Idaho. But I would have to say that the most rewarding work I do is helping families figure out how to engage in a system so that they feel valued. So that's kind of a little bit about me. And Tricia?
Great. I am Tricia Ellinger. I hold a master's degree in social work. So I was previously a school counselor and a school social worker. I am the single mother of 5 children, 3 of which are adopted. They have co-occurring special needs of developmental disabilities and serious emotional disturbance. Currently, they are 8, 9, and 10. So they've been with me since they were 4 months, 1 and 2.5, and they're full biological siblings. And so I volunteer. I'm on boards and work groups around children's mental health. And my goal is to improve the lives of all children that have co-occurring disorders. I'm very excited to be here.
Thanks, Tricia. I'm Amy Minzghor. I'm a mom of 8, and 5 of our kids we adopted through the Idaho foster system. All of our children have a variety of mental health concerns, and 2 of them have developmental delays and neurological disorders. I got into mental health advocacy work 4 years ago. As our family was in crisis and needing resources and figuring out these complicated systems. And I was introduced to Laura, and through her love and support, she was able to help our family. And in the process, I learned how to use my voice for system change. So the last few years, I have been involved on a local, regional, and state level for system change and helping families. My favorite thing to do is to help people. I'm very passionate in a lot of things, and I've learned to be really resourceful and resilient over the years. And I consider my superpowers building relationships, collaboration, and juggling 10 people's schedules at any given time. So that's a little bit about me.
And she is very good at that.
And I really do mean 10. That's how many people live in our house.
So quick disclosures. We don't have any financial relationships to this. So quickly, our learning objectives. At the conclusion, we are hoping that you'll be able to identify 6 common barriers for families being asked to collaborate, and identify 6 strategies to help them feel invested, and develop at least 3 strategies to increase collaboration with the families that are in your system. So hold on, let's see, my slides decided they're not turning. Oh, there you go. Okay, so I want to start this session with a little bit of humor because it's important that you understand that as parents, we definitely do take a lot of these things with a grain of salt, like lots of grains of salt. And that collaboration does not happen randomly and by accident. For the purpose of our discussion today, we're going to assume that everyone in the room works with families and that you're involved in a system of some variety. It's hard not to be involved in a system of some variety, but we're hoping that that everyone is, and they can understand that lens. So to start out here,
Laura, you're not sharing your screen.
Oh, did it not? It stopped sharing?
That's what Janet said.
Oh, okay. Let's see if I have to bring it back here. Let's see. Technology is our friend, remember? Okay. So now you should see a screen. Do you see a screen?
Yes.
I saw a screen the whole time, so I'm not sure.
Okay, well.
I did not.
Now we all see the screen. Okay, so when we think of collaboration, this is what system designers thought would happen. Everyone hugging it out. It's going to be great. Then this is what parents think that they have to make happen during collaboration. And but then this is what Dr. Lyons knows can happen. We can all do this together. But in reality, this is what actually happens. And I'm hoping more than one person thinks this is funny, because I have often thought that I need to keep a sign on my door that says if the fire department is looking for me in an emergency, they should look under the stack of IEP determination paperwork, because that is probably where I have fallen and am landed. So I'm just going to guess, by those of you who have your screens on, raise of hands, how many people feel that paperwork is something they have going on in collaboration? Okay, yeah, yay for things in common. So so let's talk about systems. If we're going to collaborate, we need to know who's in the room today. So the results of that poll, we have one person besides our presenters here who is a parent. Mental health providers are about 41% of you. Child protection is 15%. Juvenile justice is 15%. State or corporate level administrators, 15%, and others are 15%. And no, they don't add up because it was multiple choice. So, you know, I want to make sure that we see that we're kind of at lots of lenses, and we're grateful, because we're hoping that will make this presentation better. So I'm going to let Tricia take it from here.
We're going to be talking about who typically sits in our meetings. And so this bulleted item here, obviously, you need to be thinking about what kind of end results do you want? Be keeping in mind, what do end results do your families want from the system? What are they coming for? What do they need? This was a biggie for me when we were preparing this presentation. Who explains your system to families? In Idaho, especially if you're in the DD world and the children's mental health systems world, who is explaining those worlds to your clients and your families? And what is the easiest part of your system for families to navigate? What's the most difficult? And so be considering those kind of questions as we go through this today.
I didn't know there were any easy parts, Tricia.
Well, I haven't encountered any. In Idaho, the developmental disabilities world is a little bit easier, and even though that's the most foreign world to me, so it's easier to navigate. I think it's worked out some kinks, whereas the children's mental health system is still working on that.
So for those of you here, throw in the chat box, you know, what is the easiest part of the system? Who does explain it to families? I know those are difficult questions, but it's okay for you to chat with us. We are actually excited to hear what you have to say. But I know it's like crickets in here. It's the end of the day. Everyone is so tired, and we've been on screens for so long. But I'm going to
someone just said case managers. That's the easiest part of the system.
Yeah, that is case managers are supposed to explain it. I wish
you have
they did
a functioning
better.
Case manager.
Yes, good case managers do. Good case managers do a really great job. Frontline staff explain it to your families. I one time had the opportunity to speak to a front desk person in an agency that will remain nameless. And when I called and asked about the children's mental health stuff, she actually said to me, I have heard people mentioning that in the office, but I have no idea what they're talking about. I wish someone would tell me so I could talk about it with families. And I was like, just ouch. That's ouch. Yes, it all seems complex. I agree, Lori. It is all complex. Social workers in the system, I take my hats off to you guys. You guys are asked to do, I know, like juggle chainsaws and angry alligators all at the same time. Is that part of your job description? Is that actually in the job description? So I do know that that a lot of the advocacy work we do is explaining to families in words they can use and understand what's about to happen. When you know, I guess by a show of hands again, how many people have to have some version of an access model to their system? Does anyone actually know what an access model is? I mean, like accessing what exactly? But yet we throw words around, or practice model, or principles of care, or heaven forbid, our acronyms. Anyone else feel like we speak in acronyms half the time, and the people either just shut down or stop engaging?
Well, I know when I first got into mental health advocacy work and attending those meetings, I really appreciated when the chair of the meetings would encourage everyone to use the full names, because somebody new walking in, especially a parent, not understanding all the acronyms was very confusing. And I'm grateful that at least in our region, we have a very collaborative, supportive group that we've worked with, that I've encouraged parent participation and allow us to ask questions. But I know it's not that way everywhere. So,
and also that you might have to, whether it's the case manager or the peer support, you might have to explain the system to your families multiple times, especially if you've explained it at the initial meeting. It's going to go way, they're not going to get it. And so just because those initial meetings have a lot of anxiety and a lot of worries, not a lot of trust. And so explaining how the system works, how to navigate it, needs to continually go along with you. And at any time that family has a look in their face like, you lost me, 2 steps back, just back up a little bit and start wherever they're at and move forward from there. And don't always assume that they know what you're talking about.
I like how Dee Dee says that in Kentucky, they're implementing the use of peer support to help explain and advocate for families. And I know here in Idaho, when my children qualified for the YES system of care, one of my favorite services was a family support partner. And in the state of Idaho, that means somebody who has lived an experience with someone with a severe emotional disturbance. And that person will help your family navigate the systems, explain things. Mine would come to my IEPs, and she was an IEP superstar. So IEP, so individualized education plan, for those who don't know what that is. So I really appreciated that. Also, the comment was made, alphabet soup. Absolutely. How many times do we say, my kid has XYZ and ABC, and assume that everybody knows what that is about? Joanne says that California utilizes a facilitator for child and family team meetings. And does that work pretty well for California then, Joanne?
Well, I can tell you what's in the training for facilitators. We definitely train them to try not to use the acronyms, to, again, not review information before they come in, mostly because if things are not making sense to them, they can be darn sure that it's not making sense to the family. And that's the cue to, ask for some explanation or try to get a little bit more clarity. So from that perspective, it is in our standardized curriculum. I would not say it works well all of the time because we still have challenges depending on who's facilitating and, their role, if it's the social worker versus somebody who's considered to be a little bit more neutral and, that sort of thing. So it depends, I guess, but we do have something in place that hopes to address some of those things.
So years ago, I realized that I was seeing acronyms in places that didn't make sense. And I had a light bulb moment that possibly one acronym could have multiple definitions. And as we started going through it, my favorite acronym that we had to clarify is PCP. What is PCP? I can give you 3 easy answers for what a PCP is right now. In a really good case, it is a person-centered plan. It can also be a primary care provider or a hallucinogenic. So we're asking families if they have PCP and they're going, what do you want from us with that? We had to be very careful that we, first of all, we changed person-centered plan to person-centered service plan, PCSP. Right. And we tried to stop using the acronym altogether because asking families if they have a drug is not going to go over well. So I appreciate these comments because it's funny to me. The acronyms do never end. I have actually participated in projects where all we did was gather our acronyms and see if we could define them. And the groups at the table may not even agree with the acronyms that they uses. That's funny. The CIA and for us in New York is the Culinary Institute of America. Oh my goodness. Everyone thought that's hilarious. Every time Sarah said, every time someone told me they were in the CIA, I thought they were a secret agent. That is, okay, my new favorite acronym right now. That is my new favorite one.
So Laura, should we move on to talk about
Yep.
the family? Oh,
Yep,
there you go. All right. So we're going to talk about why families are participating in your systems. There are many ways to use TCOM to build a better widget, but because we are parents and we promise to hit the learning objectives in the conference program, we're going to focus on the families who interact with your systems. So why do we collaborate? Why are we here? Why do parents come to the table? There are many reasons for families to collaborate with systems, but honestly, not many of those reasons are based on warm fuzzies. We have a need. We have been told in order to meet that need that we have to meet with a team of people that we don't know. And if you're on that team, you're just one more box that we have to check off to help our kid. And if you're not going to help us, then get out of our way. So let's talk about how families come in all shapes and sizes. Some of us are new to the systems. Some of us have been here a while and we are burnt out and we have lost trust. Most of us are tired and likely doing this only one part for overall care. So we may have 7 meetings in a week for that one child. Some of us are going to be angry and mad. Others are going to be overwhelmed. Some may see this as a helpful situation, and some may look at this process as a waste of our time. And we may feel all of the above.
We may feel all of the above or a rotating list on any given day.
Well, I also want to include that as I've talked with parents in the state of Idaho, likely because I have 3 kids with serious emotional disturbance or pretty profound mental illnesses, that there are other families like me that have multiple children with multiple problems. So when you say I have 7 meetings in 1 week for one child, times that by 3, 21 meetings a week. So
yep,
that is, that is not an uncommon thing. And and so when you hear angry, overwhelmed, burned out, because we're living the dream, we're actually living it every single day. It's our unpaid work. Plus, and it's my favorite saying, someone still has to take the trash out.
Yeah. Before COVID hit, our family of 10, we had about 30 appointments / meetings a week. And that was in order for everyone to get the help that they needed, and also involved, at that time, a little less meetings. Now I have less appointments and more meetings. So I just kind of switched it out. But yeah, it's a lot of work. And sometimes providers don't understand why parents aren't as engaged, or they turn down a service that's offered to them. And it's because we just possibly cannot spin one more plate. We can't put one more thing on our schedule. And I know a few years ago, I'm getting better at this, but I started to recognize that each time one of my children got a new diagnosis, or I had to add a new provider to our schedule, it was triggering. It would cause me to have a lot of anxiety and have a harder time. And I realized that I needed to give myself some time, give myself some space to add one more thing to my plate, and be okay with that. And then also learn to recognize it's okay to say no. Just because it's a fantastic service doesn't mean that it's the best service for my family. Because as a mom, if I'm the one that is bringing everyone to everywhere, I can only be one place at one time. And especially, I don't have the luxury of using transportation. And so I'm put in a situation where I have to choose which child's service is most important at this time, and recognize that it affects, and there's a domino effect in our family. Is there anything else we wanted to cover in this?
Yeah, Janet just mentioned that the first thing we give up as parents to make room for another appointment is anything we do to take care of ourselves. And I think that, and Amy just pointed out that providers are overwhelmed by the brokenness of the system. It's very frustrating. I think one of the things that is hard for me personally has been that collaboration is often a box that parents feel like they have to check. We need to have this person, this person, this person, this person at the table. And I have actually been asked, how do you, go ahead and call everyone and let me know when they're going to be able to get together and have a meeting. Whoa, wait, what? We have to collaborate, and it's my job to call every agency and every provider and get everybody at the table, and then where are we going to meet and who's going to do it, and then everyone says, well, am I going to get paid to be here? If you're calling a meeting, do I get, am I getting compensated? And as a parent, I'm so overwhelmed because I don't even know I'm doing it. I've just been told that all of these people need to be at the table. Or worse yet, a meeting will be scheduled and then I'll get a message from someone at the team. I'm canceling the meeting because it's not convenient for me. So,
or we're having a child and family team meeting. You're welcome to join us. Excuse me? No, that's not how it works. It needs to be planned when I can be there and my child can be there, and I'll let you know. But so many times, Laura, even this week in our family crisis, if I could have a functioning case manager, that person would take hours off of my to-do list and scheduling and running around. This week I went to 10 clinics one day to fill out paperwork to be able to get my daughter the medical records that they need where she's at. So that's so much for a parent to take on. And obviously we're not getting paid to do it, but we're expected to do it. And fortunately for me, I don't have a full-time job. I don't know how parents do it that work full-time.
And I want to say something about the providers that are sitting in this conference, and all of you who are sitting in this conference, who provide services to families. We know you're here because you believe in collaboration. So we understand that we are preaching to the choir. Our goal right now is to make sure that you understand that when we show up grumpy and frustrated and unengaged and feeling like the world is against us, it isn't personal usually. Unless you have poked me in my own personal eyeballs, I am frustrated with the system I'm being asked to engage in that I don't understand why I'm there. All three of us as presenters are in crisis with our families right now in some capacity. And, I've heard people say, well, if you're in crisis, you just fall back and, put a pin in everything and just wait. And I'm like, when would I live if I didn't keep going when my kids are in crisis? So, so just, this is our inner thoughts about collaboration. Just, this is what we're thinking. Tricia, did you want to start this one off?
Well, so how long is this going to take? Because I only have a limited amount of time and I might have to be rushing over. Well, now Zoom, I love it. Telehealth, I love it. So it's not rushing over to, but it's managing the monkeys outside the door. So how long is this going to take?
Right. And I have sat on Zoom calls wondering how many people on this Zoom call, how many people can we shove on one Zoom call that aren't going to listen to anything I have to say? when we're handling our kids, the ones that, are answering emails to the whole meeting, or mute their phones and mute their mics and take a call, and they're on the call the whole time. And then they're like, oh, the meeting's over. Okay, bye. And you're like, and I wish I could say that was different in Zoom and it wasn't in person, but I've had people do it in person too. So
Janet made the comment. Let's go back up to April. April said, I agree the meeting should be scheduled around the parents' schedule. And then Janet said, but then how do you get providers to want to, or be willing to, or be compensated for meeting after work hours? Somehow the ideal isn't practical given the current work expectations. I liked yesterday during TCOM, one of the breakout sessions that I was in talked about employer flexibility and what they could do to help their employees. And I liked how they talked about flexible time schedules, and so they could also be able to take care of their families and their own personal needs. And when I was thinking about that, I was like, that would also help families, because if there were workers that were willing to work after that 5 o'clock hour slot, they may be able to serve a population of families that aren't able to do it during the day.
Well, and Michelle or Michael, sorry, to your point, what social worker has a 9 to 5 work schedule? Agreed. But I would also say that if I got paid by the number of people who want me to be in a meeting at the exact time I need to pick my kid up from school, I'm just like, why is that everyone's favorite hour of the day? And they're like, well, your kid will be with you, so you'll be fine. But I have other kids. So are the fairies picking them up from school? Do we have gremlins that are taking over while I'm gone? That is like the world's worst hour for parents, the time to get them to school and the time to pick them up from school. It's a transition time. And if you've got mental health kiddos, those are trigger times. And so, asking a family when that is and avoiding it would be fabulous. But I think that ties into which one of these people is coming to my house to make this planned fairy tale come true. It honestly is like, we sit in meetings and they're like, oh, well, you should just do this. And we're like, like, I remember my favorite is I was sitting in a meeting and someone said, have you ever just told your son not to hit you?
Every day.
I'm like, that's what I forgot. Just, wow, that's what I messed up. So we are going to do an activity, which means all of us who are here are getting split up into breakout rooms. Now, in full disclosure, when we set up this really fun activity, we were all going to see each other in person, and we were going to see each other's eyeballs, and we were going to make you move around the room. Joanne, I just want to make sure I caught your comment. Do you use group agreements? I would say that most times our group meetings don't. And part of that is because no one has agreed on who's in charge of the meeting. And most of the time they look at the parents as the person who is in charge. And if we try and put expectations on the systems we work with, they tell us that that is not our role. It is our role to run the meeting. It's just not our role to have an opinion on how it's run. So that's something I think we need to work on in Idaho a bit more. But anyway, so we were going to have this fabulous activity where everyone was going to have these mystery identities and they were going to do all this fun stuff. And then we found out it was virtual. So now we're all going to just pretend, because pretending is a beautiful thing. It helps keep us young. And so this is our activity. We are going to break us up by last name, give or take, and you are going to be the role that is associated with the first letter of your last name, more or less. So in a second, Lauren is going to break us up into 3 different breakout groups. So I'm really hoping people will turn on their cameras if they can and participate, because we are going to have a fake meeting. Because you know what, we don't sit in enough real meetings that we thought we should have a fake one. And we are going to have a pretend planning meeting, and you get to show up as the person who you are on this calendar. So Lauren, could you go ahead and break us up, and we will see you in just a second as we start disappearing off the screen. I have to say, breakout people, when they start disappearing, is kind of one of my favorite things in Zoom, just watching people pop in and pop out.
Lori, if you're willing to unmute yourself and can, go ahead and we can speak together, or we can read the chat. I'll say what Lori said. She said, I really enjoy this perspective. I unfortunately have to step away. Oh, she's stepping away. Okay, so thank you so much, Lori. Stephanie says that this was a good lesson in empathy to see more from the parent's perspective. I know the parent in our group wasn't ready to come to the table with a goal. Her concern was more, what's everyone else's role, and what are they going to do to help my child? So does anyone else want to talk about that? Does it look like everyone's back yet? We're up to about 41. Tricia, are you still here?
I am.
Okay. Do we see Laura? Is she back?
Yep. Yeah,
okay.
Laura's there too.
Yeah, it took me a minute to put back all the slides and all the things. So I guess my first question, Tricia, I know you're going to take this, but for my group, I I'm going to say that I was proud of my group because no one was willing to put together goals because they didn't feel like we were set up appropriately. And I love that because the scenario we gave you was horrible. Unfortunately, that's how we feel about our meetings most of the time.
So I'm wondering, Mark, you brought up in our session that exactly that. You would hope that people wouldn't be at that point where they wanted to set up goals and things like that, you know, for this family without being on the same page and everything. And I think it was Kendra. Somebody else had said that, no, it wasn't Kendra. Somebody had said that that's the kind of the reality that we live with, is that it's not an ideal situation, right? We don't have all TCOM trained people who believe in this and want this to be the way that it works. We have people that are told by their offices that you have 50 minutes and then you have 10 minutes to do the write-up and get it and get out, you know? So how in real time, how do we change that? When we walk into that meeting as a provider, as a parent, as a probation officer, as a social worker, as an anybody, and anyone in the meeting is, you know, not engaged or has a different agenda or comes at it with a perspective that they think is the only perspective to come from. And in real time, what do we do? How do we address that?
Well, luckily we can identify the barriers to collaboration. Tricia, do you want to take that?
Sure. Just make sure that my screen is doing what it's supposed to be doing.
I got to share the right slide. Somehow everything just showed up funny.
Thanks, Laura.
While you do that, I do have to say the couple of goals that our group did come up with, I was on board for them, but I did appreciate everyone else who was saying, I got some more questions though. So
well, in our group,
are we seeing the slide that says reflection time, and that's all now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're gonna go to the next
technology.
slide.
Okay.
We didn't really even come up with, we had the mental health provider in our group said, you know, we need to work on anger and anxiety. But the parent was saying, why am I here? And why am I having to fill out so much paperwork? And so that really initiated, you know, looking at how are we protecting this parent so that they can do what they need to do for all these multiple systems. So it was really even going back further than what is a goal for this child, but what is a goal for, you know, to really help and support the parent.
So Tricia, we have about 7 minutes to go through our barriers.
Okay, terrific. Let's do that.
Let's go do that.
Sure.
Okay.
All right.
Here we
So
go.
barriers to collaboration and solutions. So, you know, as in my situation with our breakout session or breakout room, families have no idea why they are there. You have to make sure the purpose of the meeting is identified before the meeting. This is one of my major things. Why are we meeting? And be very specific about what is expected from the meeting. You know, are we checking off boxes? Are we writing a plan? It's super important that the parent know what these things are before they walk into a meeting.
So
Barrier number 2, families don't understand the roles of the people at the table. So make sure that the invite list is accessible to the parents and to be clear about why each person is there and what authority they have. So giving a parent like myself a job title isn't as helpful as saying, you know, I'm a case manager assigned to help your family. My primary role is to make sure all the decisions we make today are written down and distributed to team members. And as we move forward, I will be responsible for helping you find providers and scheduling and following up meetings. You know, telling me you're a case manager with me not knowing what that actually means isn't helpful.
So,
and then to give written contact so we know how to get a hold of the providers or the people at the table. That's important.
Right. I wish we had a job title that was when the wheels fall off, call this person. Like that was their job title. That would be very helpful. So families don't trust the people in the room or the process that they are participating in. So for many of us, trust has already been broken, probably not even by you, But the very first step is to make sure that we trust the people in the room, because we're not going to tell you what you need to know, and you're not going to do it easily if we don't know that what we're telling you, we're safe with you. So I've told this story in other contexts, but my least favorite meeting I was ever sitting in was when I legitimately and honestly came into an IEP meeting, and all of the district staff was sitting on one side of the room in regular chairs, and they put my husband and I in not even kindergarten but preschool chairs, and our knees were at our nose, and we're sitting there trying to treatment plan, and we were arguing. They didn't think he needed an IEP, and we were saying he did. Do you know how hard it is to trust someone who's put you in a spot where you're looking over your own knees while you're talking to them? It was horrifying. So make sure that you help us trust you and explain the outcomes that each of you are working towards.
Terrific. Click out of my chat here. Families have no idea what the goals of the collaborative process are. So be specific about what we are trying to accomplish when we're finished. You really have to explain what is going to be the benefit to the family. Obviously, if it's a child protection situation, we know that family unity is the benefit or the goal. You have to also identify what are the goals what is the benefit to the family and what's the benefit to your agency, obviously. So let us know if anyone else, once that plan is kind of written or decided upon, is there someone else that has to sign off on it? Because I've had that happen where they say, oh, we've got all this really great stuff happening. And then you come back a week later and say, oh, that can't happen. It can't be funded. We don't have an agency that can do that. We can't get you, there's a 6-month waiting list. Make sure that if approval needs to happen or you haven't checked on a service or a support, that you get back to the family on that information.
So we've got about 1.5 minutes, Amy.
Okay. Families have no idea how to measure success. So this seems like a never-ending process. So make sure that the team identifies measurable goals that are meaningful to the families, and make them specific. So your child will have 0 3s on a cans, or your caregiver's strengths will be enhanced in the following